Hi guys, my name is Holly Dubs and I'm an artist, and recently I finished a big project and now I just want to reevaluate where I am in my artwork and where I want to go with it. So I'm going to do a very small series of watercolor illustrations so that I can kind of go back to my comfort zone and then write out what I actually want to do for my long-term goals again. Whenever I'm at a loss of what to draw or paint, I will go back to my old sketchbooks and leaf through them because they are a great source of references. I was looking back through this sketchbook in particular, and some of my old sketches were really cracking me up. I found this, and I found that these little monsters were intriguing to me, so I did pick those for my reference. It's very easy to get stuck or blocked after a big project. Sometimes we, as artists, take a little celebratory break after the successful completion of a goal, and or sometimes we get stuck in the process of finishing something, so we take a break to rejuvenate. I've been making art long enough to know that a small break is good, but to still keep my fingers in the paint or my hand on the pen so that these things don't start to feel foreign and intimidating when I go back to them. So after this project that I finished, which was putting together a retrospective show, which you can actually see in my last video, I did two things. I cleaned and reorganized my art space, and I did a couple safe, easy watercolors. This video is about making those watercolors. For me, watercolors are a good starter to get back into painting. They have easy setup, easy cleanup, and the colors are good for color blocking and layering for a more complex look. With my first paintings after a break, I'm looking for an easy success, but also to have fun. I love cartoons and comic books. They remind me of my childhood. I even still read comics. My daughter likes this series of books called Catwad. She owns them all, and every once in a while I'll take one off the shelf and read it. They crack me up. The characters are ridiculous and gross. It's two cats that are buddies, and they remind me of the cartoon Ren and Stimpy that I used to watch years ago. And then I also like The Simpsons, Futurama, Adventure Time. I like Rick and Morty, although that's not really child appropriate. Love everything about these cartoons. I like the colors, the imagery, the ridiculous storylines. I think my love of cartoons is really represented in the type of artwork that I do. When I paint or draw, it has to be fun or funny in some way, or else I'm just not interested in doing it. When I draw my sketchbook, it's usually a free flow. I'll have images, ideas, words pop into my head, and I'll try to get it all down as it comes along. It almost feels like a magical process because I get access to parts of my brain that I wouldn't otherwise. I try not to hinder whatever my subconscious wants to tell me. And sometimes I'll get these epiphanies or things that make me stop and go, huh. But it's funny because what's a deep thought to me at the time usually ends up to be a painting of just a silly character or a realistic character in a silly situation. These monsters that I'm painting in this video, though, these were not epiphanies. I like the spontaneous look of the characters as they were drawn in my sketchbook, so I put them as they were originally drawn into Procreate and made my compositions, and then I traced them right onto the watercolor paper. as I put the characters together into the different illustrations, I realized that the characters were actually interacting with each other in some relational way. So I went with it. I'm going to call this series of 4 illustrations relationship studies. So this is how my old Higgins ink turned out on Arch's paper. It had thinned out over the years, I guess, or I needed to shake it up. Something happened where it's not the dark, rich black that it should be, but I'll see if I can make this work. So here's how it looks wet after my first layer of acrylic. It takes a really long time to dry because I put a lot of water in it. But yeah, it's very vibrant right now, but it will dry a lot dimmer, which you'll see. So here it is. The acrylic's mostly dry. I went in afterwards and I touched up some of the black outline where the line had been lost. I went over it with acrylic, but that's it so far. So I didn't end up adding any other layers of acrylic. I was actually okay with this, how this turned out with the one. I didn't want to hide some of those nice swirls that I got when I was mixing and putting the acrylic on the paper. I didn't go in and add too much more detail with the characters. I wanted to keep them more simplified in this one. So we'll go through the illustrations that I did. I started with the most simplified one. This is what I would say is the most traditional of the three, just mostly straight up watercolor. I like the way the shading turned out on it. There's more detail in the kind of more three-dimensional in this one than the other ones. Then the second one I did, I kind of worked up in how much challenge I wanted to take on for each one. So that was probably the easiest one. This one I did the bottom with a watercolor and gouache. Then I added the colored pencil. Little cat leaving the room. I don't know what's going on in this picture, but there's some aspect of a relationship. And then the third one, you see the most everything done in watercolor on this one. I did do a little bit of colored pencil on the two characters and a little bit of the Neo color, the pastel sticks. And then this last one is the most with the mixed media. I have the watercolor, just a little bit of colored pencil for some of the details on the characters. I did ink, did some acrylic, and then the Neo color on the planet in the background.